The idea of social security systems. The concept of a social security system is quite old. Over the decades and even longer, it has been shaped differently and based on various sizes and various social and economic constructions. The manner and purposefulness of such systems have also been justified in various ways throughout history. To a large extent, it depends on the main characteristics of the political and economic system in which we live and on the gradual better understanding of the idea of broadly understood citizens and human rights, as well as certain economic dependencies. As it was outlined earlier, a company may not be able to employ an employee, when it comes to paying salaries, who does not work because he is sick. Not every company, especially those with lower income, can afford it from the financial point of view. Diseases can also appear over time as a result of work, and they can be related to the way work is performed, such as working at a computer. However, what is important is that general health also results from the impact of companies and their products on the environment, for example. In the end, Social Security financed by taxes, i.e. budgetary, is not completely detached from the principles of the economy based on freedom of activity, employment, and market operation. At the same time, it is the company that makes profits because of its operation and the work of all employees, but it also does not operate without consumers. Hence, the idea of sharing the costs of illness among all taxpayers, a budget system whose task is to force the legislator to make appropriate modifications of statutory regulations by generating budget costs, such as better tax regulations, better labor, or environmental standards, and simply better solutions. Examples: short-term, highly profitable activity with the transfer of not necessarily positive effects to society, socializes the costs of achieving profit, example, waste trade. Dismissing an employee due to prolonged illness. Since social and economic changes have been gradually taking place in the world and individual countries, especially since the post-war years, and they have joined the movement to improve living standards, it is essential that the real operation of social security systems is also gradually refreshed and improved. It is worth adopting the guiding principle, and it is realistic, that the citizen is the subject, and without the citizens, the economy does not work. In short, the purpose of the system is to protect the citizens in situations where they cannot earn income from work due to limitations in the functioning of their body, such as illness or market reasons. The idea behind such a system is to share security costs among all users of the system and all taxpayers through the state budget. Once again, the sharing of costs makes sense as it transfers the actual goods and potentials resulting from generally understood work and the construction of the value of goods. Such a concept is reasonable because, for reasons independent of the citizens themselves, the economy in every type, especially in its free market varieties, and even in social varieties, is characterized by certain problems concerning the continuity of having means for living. Moreover, the construction of economic systems in some way precludes the possibility of securing a livelihood during an illness, especially when it lasts longer. The current model of the tax burden system in the context of revenues and income is the best example of this. However, another aspect of the functioning of Social Security is the system of stopping the citizen from work in the event that their health and well-being could threaten themselves and their coworkers. This may include side effects of the disease, such as high fever, which can lead to distractions and incomplete awareness of actions. Another aspect is the separation of sick people, for example, those with infectious diseases, from the rest of the citizens. It is obvious that in such situations, it is necessary to enable the citizens to maintain their economic well-being. However, certain restrictions or actions of the system cannot be excessively restrictive. It is true that preventing a sick employee from working is right, but on the other hand, one cannot act in an absurd way. In addition, such a system is supposed to enable the possibility of existence, health repair, and convalescence without much stress during the illness. It seems that in the 21st century, specifically in 2021, this should be so obvious that it does not require much explanation. Therefore, The idea of insurance or social security, as a rule, consists of securing income for a person unable to work due to illness, i.e., health, and is intended to improve the quality of life of citizens, which is the essence of economic systems, or at least it should be. It is also quite important for ensuring the continuity of consumption, which is crucial in the economic dimension. Of course, the whole concept is based on several basic factors, such as the amount of benefits obtained, which is somehow calculated from the value of work, and rather from the income obtained, see, the issue of calculating the value of work, or at least slightly more theoretical assumptions. The point is to enable a person who has health problems to function peacefully for a certain period of time without facing any significant financial detriment. However, in a slightly longer period, the amount of benefits is reduced, often not ensuring sufficient security of existence, Poland's defective model. This is a remnant of a slightly flawed approach to the concept of the relationship between citizen-state, state economy, and company-employee.
Impact of unconditional basic income. The impact of the unconditional basic income on the functioning of the social security system, in general, is quite positive. It provides excellent protection against the inertia of conditional social security systems and various legal restrictions. Moreover, it guards against the lack of meaningful changes in legislation and the deficiencies of the courts. Another advantage is that, with possible changes and modifications, sometimes sensible and sometimes not very sensible, it still ensures the protection of citizens and their existence, at least on this basic level.